Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome to my YouTube channel. I'm aware that tomorrow you're going to sit for your combined science paper 2, so I'm going to provide final exam tips for that paper using this specimen paper. On number 1, we are having a cross section of a leaf. We are supposed to name the tissues A, B and C. So A is palisade mesophile, C is sponge mesophile, while list B is the fascicular bundle. Usually on number 1, they examine you on a question on specialized cell. I was looking from November 2022. The first question was on specialized cell, whereby the candidates were given a palisade cell. Let me show you. This was number 1 in November 2022. This was number 1 in June 2023, about the phloem, cambium, and the method of movement in the root hair cell. Can you see that root hair cell is a specialized cell? And then in November 2023, we are having a specialized cell on your number 1. So be prepared to answer any questions on specialized cell when it comes to number 1. And then you should be able to give the adaptation of those specialized cell. Let us move on to part 2. It is saying state and 2 visible differences between the cells in tissues labeled A and C. So when you are asked such a kind of a question, you should explain what you are observing on the diagram. For example, here we are observing that the palisade mesophile is consisting of tightly pegged column cell, while the sponge mesophile is not well characterized and it is treated as a random assembly of irregular shaped cells. And also we can observe that in palisade mesophile we are having a lot of chloroplasts, and then we are having few chloroplasts in sponge mesophile. So make sure that you explain what you are observing on the diagram. And then on part 3, it is saying which process mainly take place in tissue A. In tissue A, the main process is photosynthesis. So be able to explain how palisade cells are adapted for them to carry out the process of photosynthesis. And then on part B, it's saying state in 1 advantage of transpiration in plants. Transpiration provides the coolness of the plant body. It helps in the absorption and distribution of water in plants, and also it maintains osmotic balance. Let us move on to the next question. So in your number 1 in June 2023, you can be examined on root hair cell as the specialized cell. It is reading Fig 2.1 shows a red blood cell and a root hair cell. Select structures in the root hair cell which are also present in the red blood cell. In each case, state the letter A to E and name the structure. So first we are supposed to name A to E. So A is cell wall, B is cell membrane, C is cytoplasm, and D is vacuum. So the one that is found in both the red blood cell and root hair cell is the cell membrane and cytoplasm. So first we are going to have our letter, which is B, and then we are supposed to name that structure. And then another one, it is cytoplasm, which is C. So we are going to write cytoplasm. And then we are supposed to name one structure which is typical of main plant cells but which is not present in the root hair cells. It is the chloroplast. Unlike main other plant cells, the root hair cells will not contain the chloroplasts. And then on B part 1, we are supposed to state one major function of red blood cells and describe one way in which the cell is adapted to carry out its function. So the function of red blood cell is to transport oxygen in the body. And then the adaptation of red blood cell is that they have biconcave shape which maximize their surface area in order to absorb oxygen. So there's no way we are going to see a question on red blood cells tomorrow because it was in November 2023. So what is important is that you understand how different cells are adapted for their function and be prepared to answer such kind of a question in your final exams tomorrow. And then part 3 is saying apart from red blood cells, which are other cells that are found in the blood. So we have platelets and white blood cells. So make sure that you understand all the components of blood, that is the platelets, white blood cells, red blood cells, and also plasma. You understand their functions, and also you are able to explain different types of white blood cells and their functions. Let us move on to number 3. The nuclear notation of elements X and Y are given below. State the number of protons and the number of neutrons in element X. So in element X, it is going to have 11 protons. You should understand that the protons are the one that is at the bottom of the nuclear notation. So here we are going to write 11 protons. And then to find neutrons, we are going to say 23 minus 11 so that we get 12. And then give the nuclear notation of possible isotope of Y. Make sure that you can define what is an isotope. Isotopes are elements with same number of protons but different number of neutrons. For example, the possible notation of isotope Y, it is going to be 37 here and 17 here. We are showing that they are having the same number of protons but different number of neutrons. And then we're supposed to write electronic configuration of element X. We are guided that it is having 11 protons and also 11 electrons since it is an element. So in the first shell, it is going to have 2 electrons, and then in the second shell, it is going to have 8, and then finally, it is going to be having 1. So that if we say 2 plus 8 plus 1, we are going to get 11 electrons. And then on part B, we are supposed to calculate relative molecular mass of sulfuric acid. Make sure that you understand how to calculate relative molecular mass of a given compound or molecule, right? So for example, here we are going to say 2 times the atomic mass of hydrogen is 1, and then we add that one for sulfur is 32 plus 4 times that of oxygen, which is 16, so that we are going to get our final answer is 98. So you should know that relative molecular mass, it doesn't have units. So we are going to leave it as 98. So make sure that on this topic, you are able to state the group to which elements belongs, identify the noble gases, draw the dot and cross diagrams to show bonding between the elements that are in compound. And what is important is make sure that you can draw dot and cross diagram in covalent bonds, for example methane, and also you are able to calculate the number of moles given. Let's say we are given mass, and you should then be able to calculate number of moles by saying the given mass of the atomic mass, that is the one you are going to obtain from the periodic table. And then on number 4A, it is saying complete table 4.1 on industrial processes. So here, the one that is going to give us sulfuric acid is known as a conduct process, and the catalyst that is used is vanadium pentoxide. And then the one that uses iron as catalyst is in the Haber process, and the product is going to be ammonia. The process is Haber process. So make sure that you perfect Haber process. You might be examined on Haber process in your exam tomorrow. And then part B, we are supposed to state in 2 reasons for electroplating material. This is to decrease friction, to improve adhesion, to improve ability to conduct electricity, and also to improve appearance. Oxygen is one of the industrial gases. Give in one industrial use of oxygen. It is used in the steel making and other metals refining and fabrication. It is used in petroleum processing, glass and ceramic manufacture. So make sure that you understand how to state the uses of other industrial gases such as nitrogen and noble gases that are extracted in fractional distillation of air. And then in 5A, we are supposed to pair up the following instruments with the correct physical quantities they measure. An example has been given. So first one is length. We are going to measure it with meter rule. The next one is voltage. We are going to measure it with voltmeter. And then finally, internal diameter, we are going to measure it with vernier calipers. So make sure that you understand other instruments that are used in physics, such as micrometer, screw gauge, and also you understand the uses of stopwatch, measuring cylinders, ohmmeter, and also ammeter. Make sure that you understand what they measure in physics. And then part B, part 1 is saying what is the common error when taking readings from an instrument like a meter rule or measuring cylinder. We are going to experience what is known as parallax error. It is a common mistake that occurs when observer's eye is not directly above measurement mark on the ruler. And then on B, part 2 is saying calculate the density of an irregular stone of mass 50 grams placed in a beaker with initial volume of 25 cubic centimeters of water. When the stone is immersed, the water rose to 50 cubic centimeters. So make sure that you understand the formula of calculating density. Density is equals to mass over volume. So we are going to say 50 grams divided by 25 cubic centimeters, because we are going to say final reading minus initial reading of the volume. That volume is going to be the volume of the irregular stone. So we are going to say 50 divided by 25, so that our final answer is going to be 2 grams per cubic centimeters. Make sure that you don't leave the units. You write 2 grams per cubic centimeters. Number 6, Fig 6.1 shows a stage in the operation of a 4-stroke petrol engine. Describe what happens before the stroke shown above. So first you need to identify that this is a compression stroke because both valves are closed and also the piston is moving upwards. So before the compression stroke, we are going to have inlet or intake stroke. The fuel and air mixture is drawn into the cylinder with the exhaust valve closed. Then the air and fuel mixture is then compressed in a compression stroke. So what happens when it is intake stroke? We are going to have the inlet valve being open, while the exhaust valve is closed. When the inlet valve is open, the fuel and air mixture is going to be drawn into the cylinder. And then on part B, it is saying what is the effect of blocked gates of a carburetor. Make sure that you understand the function of a carburetor. And the effect of blocked gates of carburetor is that it is going to affect the carb performance, and air to fuel ratio is going to be, the performance is going to be decreased. And then part C is saying outline the advantages of modern petrol engines over old petrol engines. So in this case, we are just outlining. It is the same as stating. There's no need for explanation. The question is carrying out 2 marks. So it means that we are supposed to give 2 advantages of modern petrol engines over old petrol engines. They have improved fuel efficiency, reduced emissions, which is going to reduce the emission of the pollution of the air, improved reliability and durability, improved cold start performance. They are lighter and more compact. Let us move on to section B. Number 7A, suggest and explain the effects on a person of a diet with too little fiber. Here we are supposed to suggest and explain, so it is not a matter of just saying it causes constipation and you leave it like that. You need to explain. So first we are going to write the effect is constipation, and then in explanation we say there is no substance to the undigested material to be moved along by muscles of gut. The undigested material will be hard to move forward for elimination. And then the effect of too much fats, it is going to cause the increase in cholesterol level. This is going to cause high blood pressure as the plaque causes the arteries to become hard and narrow, straining hard to pump blood through hardly. Calcium and mineral salts are needed in the diet. Explain the role of calcium in the body. So the role of calcium is to build strong bones in teeth. It regulates all biological functions of body, such as heart and muscle contractions, and also learning memory. And then on part C, it is saying state and 3 nutrient diseases in humans. We have diseases such as scurvy, which is caused by the lack of vitamin C, rickets, lack of vitamin D, beriberi, lack of vitamin B1, goiter, lack of iodine, anemia, lack of iron, and then pellagra, lack of vitamin B3, hemorrhage, lack of vitamin K. So make sure that you understand what causes different types of nutrient diseases in humans. And then part G, what do you understand by the term chemical digestion? Chemical digestion is the use of enzyme to break down nutrients, for example, carbohydrates, proteins, and fats into smaller molecules. So what is very important is that you understand the difference between chemical digestion and mechanical digestion. It is very important also to understand the different types of teeth that we have and their different functions, where they are located, because they can give you a diagram and then they ask you to label that diagram, which is having different types of teeth, and you're supposed to be able to also state their functions. Let us move on to number 8. Fig 8.1 shows the male reproductive system. Name the part labeled X and state 2 of its function. So the part X is this one, which is the testicles. The function of testicle is production of sperm and also production of hormone that is known as testosterone. So you can be examined a question on reproductive system. Make sure that you can label the male and the female reproductive system, and you know the functions of those part of the reproductive system. And then on part 3, it is saying birth control can be brought about by the surgery. Mark clearly on Fig 8.1 where such an operation would be carried out in a male. So it is carried out in the sperm duct. I understand that you faced this question in your combined science paper 1 on Monday. So you are supposed to label this sperm duct. This is the one that is going to be cut. So make sure that you understand the different birth control methods. You can distinguish between type and method of birth control. And then on part B, it is saying the male sex hormones causes a number of changes in the body during puberty. State 2 of these changes other than the changes to the reproductive system. So it regulates the fat distribution, red blood cell production, and also the muscle mass. And then on part C, it is saying describe the route of the sperm from the testes to the ovum after ovulation. So the first step is we are going to have the sperm being stored in the epididymis. So during ejaculation, the sperm, they are going to travel along this sperm duct, where they are going to mix with the seminal fluid or semen on the way to the penis. The semen with sperms is ejaculated into vagina. The sperm swim through the cervix into the uterus. That is the final destination. So make sure that you're perfect on reproduction. And then let us move on to number 9. On number 9, it is saying state how the following diseases are transmitted. So I'm just going to explain without writing in order to save time. First, for cholera bacteria is spread by eating or drinking food or water that is contaminated by the feces of an infected person. And then malaria, it is spread when mosquito become infected with the disease after biting an infected person, and the infected mosquito then bites on an infected person. And then AIDS is transmitted when one do unprotected sexual interaction with a previously infected person. And then the next one is Ebola. Ebola virus can be transmitted from person to person through direct contact with the blood, organs, or other bodily fluids of an infected person. And then typhoid is if someone eats food or drink water that has been contaminated with a small amount of infected feces, they become infected by the salmonella type. And then you should understand what is meant by the term substance abuse. This is excessive use of psychoactive drugs, e.g. alcohol, pain medication, or illegal drugs. And then on part C, we are supposed to state the effects of sniffing glue. Inhaling glue causes confusion, slurred speech, mood swings, aggressive behavior, hallucinations, vomiting, blackouts, and breathing difficulties. So I'm not going to explain section C. I advise you that you visit the final exam tips on chemistry section that I uploaded. So I'm just going to read the question. So make sure that you go and make sure that you can understand those questions. Be able to define the term atom, to state the charges of a proton and an electron. Proton is positive, whilst electron is negative. And then make sure that you can determine empirical formula of a substance, and you can describe ionic and covalent bonding, give physical properties of ionic substance. Then it is very important that you need to visit the blast furnace. You can be examined on blast furnace. This is a question, shows Fig 11.1 shows the blast furnace used for extraction of iron. You're supposed to state the three substances that constitute the charge from the top into the blast furnace. So you should know the raw materials that are added into the blast furnace. These are coke, iron ore, and also calcium carbonate. And then B part 1 is saying name the substance that enters the furnace through S and what is released through R. So make sure that you can label the blast furnace diagram. And then on C part 1, it is saying one of the major impurities in iron ore is silicon dioxide. Describe with help of weight equations how this impurity is removed from the ore. Make sure that you visit final exemptives. I explained this one. And also part 2, it is saying describe the main reactions in the blast furnace. If you visit the final exemptives on chemistry section, I explained this question. So number 12 was a question on production of sulfuric acid. This question was in November 2023, so there's no way you are going to be examined on conduct process. Rather, you should prepare for Haber process on industrial processes. Let us move on to physics section. Answer in 2 questions in spaces provided. Why are the copper tubing mounted against a surface colored in black? Black color is highest Black color is highest absorptivity among all the colors. Therefore, the copper tubes are painted black. This is to increase absorption of heat energy by the water. And then part B is saying why is copper used in making the pipes of solar heater, not other metals such as zinc? This is because copper is a very good conductor of heat, which helps it to heat up the water in the solar water heater more effectively. And also it doesn't react with cold water, hot water or steam. Explain why the hot water outlet is above the cold water outlet. This is because hot water is less dense than cold water, so it is going to stay at the top of the tank. And then on part D, it is saying outline the energy conversion that take place on solar water heater. What happens is solar water heater include a solar collector that is going to absorb solar radiation and convert it to heat, which is then absorbed by the heat transfer fluid that passes through the collector. And then on part E, it is saying why is it advisable to use solar energy over forms of energy? This is because solar is renewable source of energy, clean and green energy. So make sure that you prepare for either solar water heater or solar cookers. And then in your science paper 1, there were questions on telecommunication. So they might examine you a question on telecommunication because it has been a while Zimsec not examining telecommunication. So here the question is saying the Wi-Fi is a very important method of telecommunication. Describe how the Wi-Fi operates. So Wi-Fi uses radio waves to transmit data from wireless route to your Wi-Fi enabled devices like TV, smartphone, tablet, and computer via frequencies. Device wireless adapter convert data into radio signal and send it out via an antenna. The router also takes data from the internet, converting it to radio signal and send it back to the device to be decoded. So this process allows the web users to download and upload information from the internet. And then part B is saying, what are the disadvantages of Wi-Fi? The disadvantages is that the data transfer rate decreases to individual when the number of clients or a computer connected with Wi-Fi network increases. And then Wi-Fi network, it has got a limited range. It is more open to hacking, moving machinery which gets in the way of signal, or shifting mobile with hotspot to blind spot. It can sabotage the data rate. And then part C, Fig 14.1 shows the components of a communication system. Name components A and C. A is transmitter, while C is the receiver. Describe the function of component A. The role of transmitter is to convert message signal produced by source of information into a form suitable for transmission through the channel. And then describe one advantage of a cell phone over a landline. It lets us do multitude of things such as playing games, stream online content, watch videos, read books, listen to music, and so forth. And then number 15, Fig 15.1 shows a water tank with 3 outlets of different heights. So this is the water tank, 5 meters high. So given that the density of water is 1000 kg per cubic meters and gravitational force is 10 newtons, calculate the pressure of water at the bottom of the tank. So you should know that pressure of water, we are going to say height times density times gravity. So we are going to get our final answer is 50,000 pascals. And then explain why the bottom of 8th dam wall is wider than the top. This is because the fluid pressure increases with the depth. Greater depth of water at the bottom, it exerts a higher pressure, so the dam needs to be thicker to withstand that force. And then on part C, we are supposed to calculate the pressure exerted by an air mass moving with a force of 250 newtons against a wall 2 meters long and 5 meters wide. So pressure is equals to force over area. We are going to say 250 newtons divided by 2 meters times 5 meters in order to get 25 pascals. Part G, pumps use atmospheric pressure to work. Give an example. Each of the following types of pump. On lift pump, we have hydraulic lift pump, fuel and booster pump, and then on force pump, we have bicycle, vacuum and hand pump. This marks the end of our tutorial today. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen, for following me on this channel. I wish all the June candidates all the best in your final exams tomorrow. Don't forget to subscribe, like and share my videos. I love you all. This is Eve signing out.